Now let's talk about classification. This is very big right now in the Air Force, so we're going to spend just a little bit more time on this. First, we need to know about our OPSEC and our COMSEC requirements. How do we carry a Tpfdd? How do we move that Tpfdd from point A to point B? Well, if I ask you, I'd probably get many different answers, or sometimes some of the answers may be incorrect. Let's start this over. Take two. So now let's talk about classification. Let's start over and take three. So now let's talk about classification. Right now in the Air Force, this is a big concern. So let's begin with our OPSEC and COMSEC requirements. If I ask you how you transported a Tpfdd from point A to point B on a base, I could probably get as many answers that are different for as many students as there are in the class. So let's discuss that. First thing you want to do is you want to make sure that the Tpfdd, think about it as if you have printed it out, that piece of paper, you want to mark it at the top and bottom with the highest classification that's on it. Normally Tpfdds are secret. You also want to flip it onto the back side, and you want to mark that as well, top and bottom, with a stamp. Once you've done that, the red secret cover sheet, you want to put that on top of it. Then you want to place it inside an envelope. A manila envelope is just fine. Seal that, mark that, stamp it with the secret stamp, top and bottom, front and back. Once you have that accomplished, put it in either a briefcase, locked briefcase, or put it in another manila envelope and seal that with no markings. That's how you properly transport a Tpfdd. Now, if we transport it off base, we'll need to get the authorization letter so we can put that on top of the outside of the package so that it's not opened and it's not reviewed. But what about storing a Tpfdd at the end of the day? You're ready to go home, you need to put stuff away. Where do you store it? Well, we store it in a GSA approved safe. You may ask yourself, why a GSA approved safe? Well, the General Services Administration has contracted out with safe companies, and they have to provide enough security for our classification that's listed. They have actually spent the time with the Naval Security and said a safe must be able to withstand this amount of time before it's able to be broke into to be classified as either secret, confidential, or top secret. GSA safes are approved at that level. They have taken the time to actually run these tests. So, moving on to what elements are classified. Well, this information should be covered in the Tpfdd LOI, or the letter of instruction. It should give you every classification guidance that you need. It should give you down to the very specifics. However, most of them are very vague. There's actually very few Tpfdd LOIs that have specific classification guidance. That's why Headquarters Air Force A5XW, or the War Dogs, they have actually sent out information, classified guidance information to the Air Force, telling them what data elements are classified. Right now, we don't like that because that pretty much ties our hands in our operations. Everything has to be worked in a secure environment. So what do? If you don't know and you don't have that guidance with you, treat it as classified. It's better safe than sorry. We would rather treat our information as classified instead of having it get into the bad guy's hands. Okay? So, with that, let's move into our summary. We looked at the definition of a Tpfdd, that electronic portion of the JOPS or DCAPES database. We looked at the purpose of a Tpfdd, the who, the what, the when and the why, and the how we're getting people to their operational locations. Then we took a look at the components. We took a look at the basic components. These are the items and the areas that you have to understand before you can move into the major component areas, so you can explain this to other individuals. Then we looked at the classification and why it's so important that we classify appropriately, we store appropriately, and we move from place to place with the appropriate security. Now, let's take everything that we learned and let's do a Tpfd activity. So if you would, stop this video, click onto the Activity tab, and begin your activity. Thanks, and have a wonderful day.